Good morning, Sam.
Good evening, Mallory.
Welcome back to Nobody Leaves, the podcast where we are trapped in prison, and no matter how many days they say we have left, it's a lie. Sam, today we are discussing a Star Wars topic. And I know last
we are,
week,
Mallory.
Yeah, you kind of alluded to some nerves or some maybe misgivings about getting involved with a community like the online Star Wars critical community in making this video.
You know,
yeah, some
been,
interesting characters.
It's been bad vibes for a long time with Star Wars, which is partially understandable because the Disney output was not what anyone really wanted, especially towards the end of that trilogy. But also there is the Star Wars hate machine that just keeps churning along of go woke, go Wookiee, go broke,
There's elements
so
of
that kind of bums me out.
There's all sorts of factions. I feel like because people hated the prequels, people didn't like Episode 6 when it came out. I don't know. I feel like it's so big that it's inevitably just that's how I view Star Wars. It's huge. It's all expanding. It's you're gonna pick up so many haters, and so many of the most passionate people involved in Star Wars commentary are haters.
Yes.
Yeah. a little
I count
sticky.
myself among them because they just have too many lesbian kisses. No, I gotta stop playing that character. People are gonna think bad things. No.
Well, so here's the thing, because here we are. We're a couple of wokies showing up in the Star Wars space.
Yes.
So I thought before we get started talking about Andor, everyone's new favorite Star Wars thing that's happening, we should prove our nerddom. You know what I'm saying?
Are you bringing out a quiz? Is this what's happening right now?
Is this
your gotcha?
Well, what I'm saying is because our most successful bit so far, the Blackbeard quiz, I thought we should bring it back with a little Star Wars trivia to kind of show people that we know what's up, we know everything about Star Wars. So then when people come for us and saying we're fake fans and we're just coming in to ruin their nerd thing, we can be actually we know everything about Star Wars. What do you
pull up the quiz?
Well, because here's the thing. I wasn't going to start with the quiz. I was going to say we should name our top 5 favorite Star Wars characters.
Star Wars characters?
Yeah. Yeah, just to show
Cassian Andor, Stellan Skarsgård.
I have my list. I was thinking R2-D2 is number 1, C-3PO. Number 3 is probably Baby Yoda. Number 4, BB-8. And number 5, Max Rebo probably. He's the little blue elephant guy.
I know who Max Rebo is.
Yeah, everyone knows Max Rebo. So
don't you dare.
That was the See, exactly. So we've already proved our knowledge quite a bit already. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
Yeah.
I like Babu Frick. I like Glorp Shido. I like Han Solo is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Star Wars to me. I've been so out of it for so long. I held on hope. We said this last week. You and I were on the more positive side when it came to The Last Jedi, and it's maybe they'll land the ship with Rise of Skywalker, and then we all know what happened there, unfortunately. But and now it's been years and years of shows and canceled projects and bad vibes all around, and now we're here, and Andor is here, and Andor season 1 was here 3 years ago, like Severance, but I didn't watch it then, and now I watched it now.
Okay. Here we go. The Star Wars quiz.
Okay.
And we can cut this if it fucking sucks. Question number 1. Where did Anakin first meet Padme? Tatooine. Surely, right?
He was working for my actual favorite character, Trump Elephant Man. Watto.
Watto. What's his name? What's it? Watto.
Watto.
Yeah. Oh,
I remember.
Yeah. That's Tatooine. Yes. In The Phantom Menace, what is Padme's title? Fuck. Not Queen.
Queen.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Queen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's pretending to
Queen
not be the
Amidala.
queen, but she is the queen.
Yes.
Okay.
She has the double.
In Attack of the Clones, what's her title? Senator of planet.
Amidala.
Senator of Naboo?
Or Senator Naboo, yes.
They
That's
say that
correct.
so many. The Senator of Naboo. So many little aliens say
The
that.
Naboo faction.
Name one person that's not from the Lars family. Klieg, Shmi, Owen, Anakin. Owen, Lars. Easy,
Klieg.
that's one. Klieg, you right? Who's Klieg?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Shmi is Anakin's mom.
Shmi's the mother, and Owen Lars is the father. Is the
Uncle
stepfather.
Ben of
Uncle
Star
Owen.
Wars.
Yeah.
Okay. We're blessed. This is good. In episode 4,
Yeah.
A New Hope, who delivers the message from Princess? That's the easiest. The message from Princess Leia to Luke Skywalker to get Obi-Wan. That's R2-D2, right?
Well, yes, via the Jawas that kidnap
Yeah.
R2-D2 and C-3PO. Of
That's
course.
the most famous one. Which 2 actors played Anakin Skywalker? I know Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen, and I don't know.
I think it's Jake Lloyd.
No, I do. Jake Lloyd. Yeah.
Wow.
Little kid. I thought they were talking about the guy in the suit
Oh.
in episode 6, who's all gray. He's David something, I think.
He's cool. He's really cool because he's in
Yeah.
something else cool, and I forgot what it was.
Well, I think he's the Force Ghost at the end of episode 6, but then they
Mm.
CGI'd in Hayden Christensen later on.
Okay, so Hayden Christensen.
This is
and
all
Jake Lloyd.
it's all in there. This has been taking up space for 8 years. I'm not caring about Star Wars, and it's just still in there.
That's phenomenal, though. I didn't know Jake Lloyd. I would not have been able to pull that.
You said it at the same time I did.
Well, no, because it's listed on the. It's one of the options in 3 out of 4 options. Jake Lloyd and someone else.
It's multiple choice.
Yeah,
I'm doing the
yeah,
hard
yeah.
mode.
Well, that's the thing. You keep pulling them out, so I'm very impressed. I'm just.
Let me hear
I'm
it.
trying to be
Hit me.
honest about my lack of knowledge. Where was Princess Leia imprisoned and questioned? Okay, there's a
Death
major
Star.
hint.
Wait,
yeah,
yeah, okay, yeah.
Good job. Yeah, it says 2 words: D underline star underline.
This quiz is baby mode.
I searched hard Star Wars quizzes for nerds.
Excellent. You want to shout out where this quiz is from? Is it from Star Wars
It's from
Fans69.com?
Funtrivia.com. The author is Metallica 1992.
Metallica, do better,
Average score is 8 out of 10, so yeah, maybe it's not that. Well, we gotta make sure.
Well,
we don't
let's
get
see.
those two
Maybe
wrong.
they'll throw in some heaters there at the end. We'll see.
In Attack of the Clones, who is sent to protect Padme from an unknown assassin after the Jedi Council gave out new assignments?
Boy, let me think about that. Is it Anakin Skywalker?
Oh fuck! Obviously,
of course.
I misread that. I thought it was who was the assassin. I'm like, I don't know the name. It's just
it's
she shoots
it's the
a worm
famous
through a tube.
yeah, it's the
The
YouTube
change-
bit of it's Count Dooku
changing.
hired a person who hired a person who hired a droid who hired a worm to assassinate Padme.
The worm is that is such an. I was thinking about that part of my thoughts on Andor. I was thinking about iconic Star Wars scenes. For me, it's so close to the beginning of the movie of this worm sneaking into her room. That is
Yes.
insane to me. It's such a weird.
But then
thing
it's
to happen.
you sit there and you think about it and you're this scene makes no sense. And then the following
It's
scene
so
makes no
over the
sense.
top. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And is that where Death Sticks comes from? Afterwards,
Yes,
after the chasing?
they chase the shapeshifter whose name I can't remember before
Yeah.
Jango Fett murders her. And does he want to buy a death stick? The whole deal.
Death Sticks.
It's all in there. I haven't seen these movies in 15 years. The actual Star Wars movies I don't think I've watched since the lead up to Force Awakens
The real quiz would be
a decade ago.
Can we recreate? Can we scene for scene less block out what happens in each movie? I feel we would
I
get
probably
pretty far.
could for episode 4. Yeah, I bet I could do
Yeah.
that.
It would take hours, but we probably could get pretty far throughout most
Make
of
a
the.
terrible podcast, but yes.
Who in the expanded universe is Luke Skywalker's wife? Now that's a toughie.
Oh, Mara Jade.
That's
I read a lot of
crazy.
Star Wars books in the old, like, destroyed canon.
I read a lot of blurbs of Star Wars books. I remember going to
That's
the
fair.
library and picking up a bunch of Star Wars books and like reading the blurbs and being like, "Whoa, Luke had 2 children. Everyone had children and they all killed and married each other," and being like,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah, I read like I was getting into them around the time the canon got like destroyed, like late high school era for us.
really,
And I read there was a Legacy of the Force series, I think. There's one that's like 10, 12 books long, and it's all about Han and Leia's son, who turns to the dark side, Waka Waka. And then there's the follow-up series to that, which is about like the Jedi's place in society after they keep causing world-ending or galaxy-ending events over and over again. And that one was really neat, but I didn't finish it.
I read
And that was like the ongoing series when the whole canon got wiped out.
That's yeah. Like some of this stuff sounded like interesting. It was like, let's explore like how the Jedi fit and like the politics of stuff and like the and like can we ever break the cycle? Like it's getting into like late Naruto territory, but
very much so.
Yeah, I read like a random one about Obi-Wan that he did like in between like the Darth Vader thing and like being the mentor to Luke or whatever, where he just goes on some weird little underground it was kind of like Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs, where he like goes underground and he finds like a weird underground world and does some weird stuff. That's all I've ever read.
He goes to the hollow earth of Tatooine. I see.
Yeah, some just like weird random shit. Last question: how did Master Kenobi die?
How did Master Kenobi die? He surrendered himself to the Force, and Darth Vader stabbed him with a lightsaber.
Yeah, Darth Vader killed him in a duel. Or he never died. That's not an option. Is it? That can't be it.
No, he didn't. He did die.
He definitely did
became
die.
a Force ghost.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely did die.
But like, is
but
that
his
a
body,
technicality?
Like, disappeared.
Where they're like, isn't it technically
Is that what the... Did they say that was the answer? Is that what
No,
SARS
I haven't.
for?
I can submit now and find out, but I want to get it right. You know.
What are the options?
Maul killed him in a duel. No. Tyrannus killed him in a duel.
No.
No. So those are not on the table.
Yes.
He never died, or Vader killed him in a duel.
Vader killed him in a duel.
That's right.
He's a ghost.
Okay, yeah. If the quiz tells us we're wrong, then the quiz is wrong. All right, our results. So close to perfection. What did we get wrong? Wait.
Was Smeagol a Lars family member? Is it the aunt?
Klieg was a member, and Anakin is not a member of the Lars family.
That's stupid. That's a technicality.
The Lars family was first seen in Attack of the Clones when Anakin is searching for... Oh, wait. No. Beru became part of the
Beru
Lars
is on
family.
Beru. Was Beru an option?
No.
Who's Schmegmaggleboggle?
Klieg. It doesn't say...
Yeah, who's Klieg?
Klieg Lars. Who's this motherfucker? Klieg Lars.
I'm rapidly not liking Star Wars again. We should talk about Andor. But who's Klieg
He
Lars?
fell in love with Shmi. Oh! Okay, because she married into the Lars... He was kind of like Anakin's stepdad.
He married her and freed her, and they were happy, and then the Tusken Raiders kidnapped her and killed her.
Yes. Yes. So he was Anakin's stepdad that he like never really interacted with, because he was a.
And then is his brother Owen Lars?
Yeah, I guess so. He was related somehow to Owen Lars. Yeah.
No, his son has to be, right, because that's Luke's uncle.
This is fucking all right.
Klieg is the grandfather.
I've pulled up Wikipedia. Okay, the step grandfather of Luke Skywalker, the father of Owen Lars. Yes, you're correct. Genius.
Okay, understood. That's stupid. Anakin is a Lars, by all accounts.
He's also the son of Greta and Lef Lars and the elder brother of Edern Lars. And this is the kind of stuff I was hoping to get into. I wonder what's Edern Lars' story. we never get to.
We'll never know.
Fascinating stuff. Anyway, so that was the Star Wars quiz. So any
was totally worth
commentaries
it.
who are trying to come for us, now they have absolutely nothing that they can say that's bad about us.
They do. They have ammo. I forget about Klieg.
This motherfucker doesn't know about Klieg Lars.
What an idiot! He's in like 2 scenes.
That's crazy that Anakin's not technically a Lars. I get.
Yeah.
What you watched this week, Sam?
Do you feel like it was worth it? Do you feel like it was worth, the Star Wars quiz?
I'm glad we learned. Like, I'm always trying to expand our knowledge
I love learning
with these quizzes. We will
Absolutely.
do the Blackbeard quiz again eventually at some point.
No.
What
What did I watch this week? Well, there was this show called Andor that was actually 12 episodes, and I thought it was 10, and I thought it was 30 minutes, and it was an hour. So that took up a lot of time. I watched a little movie called Nintendo Direct Switch 2 keynote. I don't know what they called it, actually.
Yeah, the like their press conference that they try to like zhuzh up every year. Yeah.
Yeah, Nintendo Direct.
There we go. Yeah, what
Silk
did you
Song
think?
got announced for 2025, so people can step back from the ledge, which is good.
What's Silk Song?
Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Oh,
You're
right.
clearly not in the know, because any single Nintendo Direct, E3 presentation, guy talking about video games on the side of the road, like all you're ever gonna see is like, when's Silk Song? Where's Silk Song? We want Silk Song, because it was announced like 7-8 years ago and was supposed to come out in like 2019 and then hasn't come out, and it's now 2025, and people's love for Hollow Knight has grown. People's love for Team Cherry has shrank. But it was in the sizzle reel for the Switch 2 as a 2025 title.
Whoa.
Which, as soon as it showed up, it crashed the stream.
Wow.
Because people were so excited. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Big news.
Mm.
Big news, Morgan.
Big
But
night.
what have you watched? Yeah.
I mean, I've been on a gamer. I've been doing some Stardew Valley. I know the original intent was for me to like buy the Switch version so that we could play it together, but due to some like region locking nonsense going on, like it was easier for me to buy the Steam version. But I ended up playing like multiplayer with our mutual friend AM. Shout out to the Freak Zone, I guess. But yeah, we played like a couple good days of that, and that was a lot of fun. And I really liked getting to like explore the game more in depth. Like we finished spring, I think, over the course of 2 days, but like.
So you're now a full year into your Stardew Valley farm, or is this a new farm?
This is a new farm, yeah. So
Gotcha.
I do kind of want to pick up on what I'm doing with my old farm, but like I don't know. It was pretty fun, like getting to build from scratch with the knowledge that I have, and like it was also just this thing of like at every turn, like being like, yeah, and then we can build this, and then we can do that, and it's like, oh, that's the thing. Oh, I didn't know about this being in the game. Like all this. Like, I didn't know you could teleport on the mining floors every, like, 5 floors. You could just, like, skip down.
Let the Stardew flow through you.
So it's like, of course I wasn't enjoying the mining because I was like, oh, I got to start from floor 1 every single time. Like, this is tedious and boring. But yeah, no, we got into some of that. I got a lot into fishing this time because that wasn't an avenue.
So?
It's kind of this weird thing where like when you have 2 people working on like the same kind of farm, like you like my AM was doing like all the like mining and like was pretty on top of like the watering the plant stuff as well. So all of a sudden I have all this free time. So I'm like, I'm gonna get really into fishing and just like master that kind of skill and like explore that mini game. So that was a lot of fun.
How do you like the fishing mini game? Because it's a bit controversial.
I kind of like it. I understand it's frustrating, but it's like once you get, I feel like the technique of just like spamming the space bar as opposed to like if you like long press
Hold it
it
down.
or just like let go or whatever, yeah, it's just gonna like skyrocket and bounce around. Like I don't know. Once I got into like a good rhythm of that, like I was catching fish pretty regularly, so I'm not I'm not like a complete hater of it. Like it's challenging to the level where you kind of have to be locked in, but it's not like I don't know. I could see myself getting a lot better at it and getting used to it and not being too frustrated by it.
Right. Well, it's also like it's the most difficult the first time you're fishing because as you gain fishing experience, you get perks that make it easier. You get better rods that you can purchase. You get better bait and all this bobbers and
Yeah.
everything that the fishing minigame, everything that like tree of Stardew has is just made to like make it easier.
Yeah, that's what AM was like telling. Like my friend was telling me, like you could like unlock it to where it like doesn't bounce at all. I'm like that would make it so easy. Like, so I don't know. I was enjoying that part and also like making signs. Like I made a sign in front of my house that says "Gone fishing," and like every time I like leave to go fishing, I change it to say "Gone fishing." Then when I come back,
That's
I
good.
will always change it to "Not gone fishing," just so that everyone's kind of like on the same page. And then if I leave but to go somewhere that isn't fishing, I'll change it to "Gone not fishing." So it's just always kind of like keeping it updated. And we got a pet cat that my friend chose the cat, and then I started like petting it and filling its water bowl like really consistently out of secrecy. And then like the cat will just come and sleep on my bed every single night. So I've wedged my way into that relationship. So I don't know. I'm having fun with the game. I'm enjoying it.
I'm glad to hear it.
Cool. Yeah, I already got to like 5 hearts with Pam in spring 1.
You and your drunk friend, you know,
Me and my friend
having a ball.
just hollering at the just like harassing the bartenders and like yeah, no, it's a good time.
I'm glad you have someone you beeline for no matter what farm you're doing.
Yeah, it's good, and it's also like steady because she's not like one of the romance options. Like it's a steady friendship to like focus on while like this time I'm trying to explore like I'm trying to get like a decent amount of hearts with like all the romance options so that I can kind of like feel out the personalities and decide which like direction I want to go with ultimately. So
So Clint the blacksmith is who you're like leaning towards right now. You think?
I've been
Maybe?
ignoring him. I've been ghosting him. I've been so trying. I know the inside of his heart and I can't unsee it. And
I'm glad to hear it.
But yeah, that's my week. Haven't watched anything else because, as we said, Andor, long show.
Long show. Do you have any thoughts about the Switch 2? I know I brought it up. I don't know if you actually
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch the presentation?
I didn't watch the long one. It's hard because like I feel like the amount of games that I'm like into playing, like I'm not necessarily like looking to like, oh, what new games are out there, I guess usually. So I feel like I watched like specifically the trailer for Mario Kart Worlds. I'm like, oh, shiny coat of paint, I'll get that one, and you can play as a cow, so that's cool.
That is the one where I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
like neurons are firing here. I really want to play a new Mario Kart. That sounds like a good time.
Absolutely, no, like that one looks nice. And like obviously like Pokemon Legends, like that is the main game that I want to play, but probably realistically I'm probably gonna get it for the Switch because I don't think I can afford the Switch 2 right now.
That is fair. I have already sold my Switch 1 in anticipation of buying the Switch 2 because I haven't touched my Switch 1 in like a year. So I was like, I can just sell it now.
Mine is it's like the controllers are all like broken at this point, and I'm like, I feel like they're doing the Apple thing that Apple got sued for, where they're like, all right, it'll last this long. That's how long we have to develop the Switch 2 is like.
Well, Nintendo did get sued for that. In fact, with the Joy-Cons, they have a lot of problems. Yeah,
Ooh. Can I get money from a class action lawsuit?
probably not at this point. But
Probably
they
missed
did
that, but
make them better over the course of the Switch's lifetime. They made them slightly better.
That's my thing. I feel like I should just get some new Joy-Cons, honestly, and I can get like another few years out of my Switch.
Yeah, I had to sit there and debate because the old Joy-Cons are going to work with the new Switch, and I was sitting there going, I had 2 pairs, and I was like, which do I trade in? I had the red pair from the Mario Odyssey bundle, which is kind of a rare set of Joy-Cons that I bought way back when I bought my Switch, and then I had the nice like white ones from the Switch OLED, and I ultimately kept those because they're more like new and they're less like worn down. But the guy at GameStop, I went to GameStop, by the way, like it's 2012 all over again. Just because it does like save a little money to get a new console, so I was like, yeah, I guess so. But the guy was like, "Ooh, the red Odyssey ones." Like he knew, and I was like, "I know, they're rare. It's not a red and a blue; it's a red and a red. It's a different shade of red. I'm a nerd. Like I'm excited about this."
He licked his lips. He's like, "Close the blast doors. we gotta,
yep,
we gotta get these.
That'll be $3 in credit." And I was like, "All right, thank you."
Yeah. The only Switch game I've been thinking about playing is Super Princess Peach because I saw it like a couple times, like heavily discounted, and I was like, I feel like people like to talk about feminism, but they don't like to do the actions. And like, if you didn't purchase Super Princess Peach, can you really like call yourself a feminist? I don't feel like I can, so I might get into that.
Why don't you play Zelda: The Legend of Zelda?
That looked actually really good and fun and cute, and like I'd actually
charming.
have a lot of fun. Super Princess Peach probably also looked like it was good, but also just felt like a more comedic purchase. So I think that's kind of the instincts that were guiding me. But yeah, that one looks super cute. Like Zelda games, I can get lost in those. Those are some fun.
I gotcha.
But this isn't a gaming podcast, Sam.
It is sometimes.
Oh, it is.
But no, currently it's a Star Wars podcast. Is
Andor,
that even possible?
Andor, I don't even know her.
I love Andor so much. Let's talk about Andor.
I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them.
Let's talk about Andor. All right, Sam. So Cassian Andor. What do you think about this wonderful little man?
Cassian Andor. He's a roguish type, you know? He's just like Han Solo, except for way worse at his job and meaner, and I like that.
Yeah. He's a mean little man.
He is a mean little man.
Yeah.
Well, Mallory, I should be asking you that because this was my pitch, even though we both hadn't seen Andor. What did you think of Andor? Were you happy that I dumped a modern Star Wars project on you?
That's true. I mean, I'm glad that I checked it out because I don't think that I would have otherwise. I think Rogue One was really the like which is so funny. Yeah, which is so funny because like the character Andor is from Rogue One, zero memory of him or anything. Like I know that he dies in the end, but like yeah, zero anything of that. Spoilers for Rogue One, obviously. But
everyone
yeah, like
dies.
Everyone dies. But yeah, like that was like the movie that I watched where I was like, I don't like I can't like get myself to a place where I'm like invested in caring about stuff like this. So I'm glad that you forced me to check it out because I probably wouldn't have either, and I would have missed like definitely. I'm it's like interesting, I guess. Like the show. I don't want to like be so negative. I wasn't like crazy about it, but like I feel like I wasn't like how do I put my feelings? Well, I mean, we have an hour to figure it out. Oh no. Oh, I didn't notice your. Okay, I wasn't like moved by it, I guess. But I was like, this is pretty cool. And I had criticisms, but I feel like most of my criticisms were pretty superficial and pretty like either whether they be like stylistic, whether they be related to what my personal expectations are for like a Star Wars product, or whether they just be like personal taste. But like it's a good show. It's good. So everyone put your guns down, delete your comments. Like it's a good show. So don't you should, then that's why I wanted you to talk first. So now you say what you think about it.
This is one of those projects where I can't tell if my love for it is for the project itself or is for the fact that someone actually got a chance to make something cool. Like, you know what I mean? I'm so happy for people I've never met, for the Tony Gilroys of the world who said, what if it cost $400 million and looked like it instead of looking like shit? And I just can't believe it. I can't believe they built real sets. I can't believe they were traipsing around in like the Highlands, and Cousin Richie is a rebel who's evil and looks like a weird like Star Wars skinhead, and it's really cool. Like all of it. Mallory, I was keeping a running count of how many episodes would it take for them to show a stormtrooper. It's 7.
Yeah.
And you may hear that and think, wow, does anything happen in this show? I hear that and I'm like, it's cinema. Like, that's incredible to me. I cannot believe the willingness to like do a less is more Star Wars project in an era where it's like, we got to cram as many Bo-Katans or animated show characters or Darksabers or Mandalorians or whatever, like everything. Let's do a CGI Mark Hamill. Let's do a Darth Vader cameo where he's making puns. Like all this stuff I've been kind of sick of Star Wars, where it's like we always have to go to the same 3 planets. We always have to deal with the same 5 characters. This show gets so far away from. And the minute an R2-D2 or a C-3PO like walks on stage, this show will be ruined for me, which may happen in the next season, the final season of Andor coming out this month. But for right now, I can't believe they did it. I can't believe they made a show with new characters and new ideas in the year of our Lord 2022, I think is when the show came out.
Yeah, see, I'm completely with you there, like on everything. Like, first of all, visuals, like, cannot understate how like amazing looking the show is, and like you said, with like all the practical effects and like the real sets, like I don't know, they really like and they went to so many like locations throughout the episodes. Like when you were saying that thing about
yes,
like,
but I remember them, right? Like it's not like we're just gonna hop from like place to place to place and be there for like 4 seconds.
Yeah, they were not just like places for people to have conversations with this goofy character and then we jump to the next planet. It's like, you know, they each of the settings like carried like a lot of weight, and you started to feel like, you know, culture and stuff like that. Like some of my favorite parts of the show were like the parts that were set in like Coruscant, because that's always been such a like fascinating kind of like interesting place to me, and like the showing like the lives of politicians, showing them having like dinners in their houses, showing like you know, day after day in the Senate rather than like the single speech. It was like, this is the first time we're seeing the Senate. He's like, I abdicate all powers to the supreme leader. You know,
this is how democracy dies, with one vote somehow. Well, you know, so that maybe George was cooking a little bit. I was watching like the 5th Mon Mothma is trying to hide her money banking scene, and I was thinking, this is really compelling. Why does this work? And like trade deficits in the prequel series
not
work.
That was fascinating to me because like that's the prequels are so dry with that of just
Right.
conversation. I think they did a really good job. Acting is like phenomenal in this series, and I think they did a really
Yes.
good job of like selling the emotions of like each character in these different situations. Like, obviously Mon Mothma.
Well, they find ways to
Yeah.
emotionally tie them in, right? Like Mon Mothma's storyline, even though I don't necessarily like care about her daughter character, but like the idea of what are you willing to sacrifice, which comes across in like every character's storyline in this season of television, as they're all like turning into rebels or like coming to terms with what it means to rebel against a galactic empire or what have you. But like they find ways to make banking compelling, and the answer is you put it in this real human drama that someone can understand, right? There's marriage tensions, there's a mother-daughter relationship that's not going well, but she still loves her daughter, but now she's going to use her as a pawn to get what she wants, and like that choice is like tearing this character apart. Incredible, like cinema. Like it's just I'm just like proud of this show and these people who made it, who I've never met, because they got to do something cool and interesting.
All the shit, like even just like her, where they're like, yeah, they've replaced my driver with an Imperial Stooge. They've replaced my like servants with Imperial Stooges. Like I don't have like many free spaces to just like communicate. Like I really, really loved those scenes, and like I really felt, and like she's just the example of one character. I think we're leaning towards her because obviously I'm dressed as her.
You got that Mon Mothma fit on.
Yeah, which I have to say, by the way, Sam, this is a new segment that I'm starting on the show. I don't know, segment's maybe not the right, cause a new title, a new award that I'll be bestowing week to week on the show. I'm calling it Diva of the Evening. So each because it's the evening when I record, and I feel like I should just like highlight different divas. I'm working out the criteria. I've been going through previous episodes to figure out who the previous divas of the evenings are. But this week, absolutely, Mon Mothma is the diva of the evening. I love her. She's so like, I don't know. Just the fits, and it's also like the way that I didn't know who she was, and then I was already invested with her, and then they mention like her name is Mon Mothma, and then my little brain is like, oh, I heard that like 7 years ago in Lego Star Wars. Who is Mon Mothma? And like did a Google, and it's like
She's in one scene in A New Hope. Okay.
Yeah, she's like appears in New Hope and like a few random like other things. It's like, oh,
She's in Rogue One, for instance.
Yeah, but then like having that context now of like, oh, she became the like leader or the president of the rebellion or whatever, and like watching that character arc, I'm obsessed. Love her, amazing character. We can talk about others though.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, unfortunately, we're at an impasse here because my vote for diva of the season of the Andor is Luthen, the ultimate shitheel rebel who is putting on such that transformation in like the third episode when he comes back to Coruscant, and you realize that this guy is not just like in the mud with everybody else who's employing. Like he goes back and he puts on his character. He walks differently. He has the wig, the jewelry, the voice
the way his
affectation.
whole expression changes, and like you're just like, this is a different person. Insane.
He's got a hidden vanity in his ship just for like putting on his Coruscant costume. Incredible stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he was very cool. He was a very interesting character. I feel like I got like a little bit, maybe I was just having trouble following it towards the end. Like I got a little bit muddy as to like, what is he actually trying to do? What are his real motivations? Like there was a lot of like talking back to him and a lot of people getting mad at him. And I don't know that I had like a clear sense of like, this is what he's doing wrong. The only thing I kind of got is like, I felt like he had a weird fixation on Andor. That's like, I don't want to be mean to the show, but I do feel like towards the end, there is a weird fixation on Andor that he's the center of everything somehow.
I think it particularly doesn't make sense with the rebels, who they want to kill him so that like information about Luthen doesn't spread, right? Because he's this influential guy, and it's important to keep him in his position so that he can continue to like shadow build an army to fight the Empire, right? Like, that's the implication.
Mm.
And that's the argument they give. But then they let Bex get imprisoned, and she also knows Luthen, and is like seems like a more significant leak to me than him.
Yeah, because
I guess the only thing that
like,
Andor
Mon
knows is
Mothma.
he knows how the heist went, but otherwise,
Yeah.
like, he seems not significant for how much like they're willing to stage like one or two of their faction in Ferrix for like the half a season. It felt like we need these characters to do something for a little while because they're not going to be relevant again until the end.
Which that was one thing that, like, kind of as I was watching it earlier, I was like, we're getting like more and more like disjointed, I feel like, between these different character like snippets that we're seeing. But then like early on I was kind of like, this is like a lot, like I'm like not necessarily struggling to follow it on like a logical level, but like a little bit on an emotional level. I'm like, okay, like we're kind of losing our like focus character here. But like as it kept moving, like I kind of liked it as a series of like vignettes almost of like, this is what life is like under the Empire. This is like the kind of brass tacks of like the rebellion even like being formed. Like these are the conflicts that are happening, and like the individual experiences of people that make it hard for them to like form this rebellion. So like I liked the I don't know her name, the blonde woman in the Empire.
Vel?
No, she's the rebel. The like high
Not
ranking
Serial. Yeah.
Clay.
Her.
No.
Dedra.
Dedra. No, Dedra.
Dedra.
She was good. Like I liked her, and I was almost like, I'm almost like fine with you not connected to the rest of these characters. Like I think they meshed her in with like some of the characters and like the plot and stuff in like a cool way, but like at a certain point I was like, I kind of was like, I don't really need to know how she fled. And like same with Mon Mothma, I was like, I don't even, because Mon Mothma has nothing to do with like the final conflict. But
Right.
I was so fine with her where she was, and like the same for like so many different characters, and like the ending where they all kind of like come together. They were clever in like some ways, but I think that like I don't know, it's a very ambitious project, and it almost feels like it might have worked better as like almost like standalone episodes about like these different characters at some points, you know what I mean? Not to like fully poo-poo the idea of like the way that they come together, just like I don't know, that was kind of I felt like it was at its strongest when it was like, here's this character, here's their situation, here's like we're giving you the emotional realness and the politics and like all these different realities of this, and making everything feel really grounded in this like fantasy world. That I feel like was when the series was at its strongest.
I think I was pretty surprised how well they were able to emotionally intercut these different like
that too,
these
yes.
different vignettes that are happening, right? So like Andor's in prison, and Mon Mothma is in a prison of her own making in this like, she's in a political prison, right? Like she's in this like gilded cage, and we're gonna cut between her at this dinner party and him at like walking the line, and Vel and Cinta like stuck waiting around for Andor, and like not able to continue their relationship. It seems like stuck in their ideas or in their ideals, and it's just like, we're gonna cut between these ideas in the same episode, even though they're planets and galaxies away from each other, and the music swells and it just works.
Yeah, no, I do like that element of it as well. So that's to like not to fully be like these should be separate. Like I think that they did a good job of like weaving different things together at parts, but at the same time it's like I feel like we're having the most fun when it's like we're exploring this like unique concept that can occur in this world that isn't necessarily like tied to Andor's story so directly, you know.
The unique concept being like forming a rebellion,
or just like the individual, like these two lesbian lovers having an argument about like, I'm gonna keep to my work, which that was a little weird, because I was like, I feel like is not interested in Vel at all. Like she's just
Right.
I feel like Vel's being like, you never hold hands anymore, and she's like, because I don't love you. It's like
A little bit, yeah.
But like, you know, like Mon Mothma is the example I keep going to because it feels like the most disconnected. But like, even stuff like the prison scenes with Andor, almost they feel so far away with like Andor's situation. Like when he kills the two men, they feel so far away. Like the snippets of his life that we're getting feel so disconnected. Like the whole like heist segment and like that interaction feels like a completely different thing, like to the point where yes, we are following Andor, this consistent character, but they almost feel like they could be like two different characters being the protagonists of those scenes and like worked just as
I definitely
well,
felt
or,
that
like,
way with the early backstory, right, of him being a kid on a planet that's about to be ravaged by the Empire, but he's
yes.
in this weird tribal group, and he happens to like get a ticket out before they're all wiped out, right? Like that to me felt the most disconnected, but they kind of make it work. I like more so when it's him and his foster parents and what happens to his foster dad, and they have few scenes together, but him and his foster mother I think is like incredible, like emotionally.
Totally, yeah.
She's incredible. I love. I didn't expect to see her again.
Yeah.
When we get the hologram speech at the end, and I was like, this is pretty excellent.
It was cool. Yeah. No,
to me, like this whole season
Go ahead.
seems to be like the battle of Andor's soul. Like, is he going to be willing to do something for someone other than himself? Like, it's like selfishness versus like absolute selflessness. And they put him on that ship with Luthen by episode 3, and he gets off and he leaves, and he abandons the heist after it's finished, and the entire rest of the season is getting him back to that same point, which could feel redundant, but to me, all the stuff that happens in the meantime is great. And it's not characters going, man, you know, I was a roguish type, but now my heart's opened up by watching this prison. It's just all in his face and all in his like actions, right? And him looking at this guy who he formed this bond with, and him going, I can't swim, and it's like, all right, that's the breaks.
Yeah,
Add another one to the pile, you know.
That was crazy, and that made me think I should learn to swim because I cannot.
That's unfortunate.
And I'm like, I should.
You would
be
do
ready.
bad in an Imperial prison.
Yeah, I'm like, I could get in an Imperial prison. That would suck for me. So
That would not be good.
That really made me think. No, but for real, like it is. I think it is really good in those segments as well. I feel like the best parallel I could draw between this series and anything, and I'm curious if anyone has made this connection yet. It felt extremely Les Miserables to me, like the whole time. It was almost all I could think about. Where
the Ferric stuff I definitely get with like the march and whatnot.
Yeah, like because they have the "Do you hear the people sing?" when they're like,
yes,
she like comes up. There's like the droid is like, "Hello, my name's Gavroch," and then they have like, but like I think that like I got onto it early on because they were like showing Andor versus like doing that emotional intertwining thing you're talking about with Andor and one of my favorite characters, his name's like
Bex?
Karn, Cyril Karn.
Karn.
God,
who is Karn?
What he's the like reedy little like skinny evil guy who's like we have to uphold the empire's law to like the thing. He's like the main.
Oh yeah, Cyril Karn. Yeah.
Cyril Karn. Yeah.
I call him Blinks a lot because he was just like we have to yeah, like that's like I like that like discount Matt Smith a little bit.
Yeah, he was like when they early on were doing like you have like this weird thing going on where like it's like Andor you're kind of showing is like Andor is walking through this town and everyone's like, Andor, for the 17th time, give me my money. Everyone doesn't trust him. Everyone's like, you've lied to me so many times, you piece of shit or whatever. And then like we're cutting back and forth with Karn who's like, but we must have the truth. Everything must be absolute. You know, he's like, it's like this weird like thing with like good and evil, truth and lies type stuff going on. You're like, immediately I'm like, how are these characters going to intertwine? And there's just kind of this like, and then he kills the 2 guards, and that's like Valjean stealing like the loaf of bread, and then they have their initial encounter, and then like he meets like in this weird like old factory, kind of like the church, where he meets the priest that he steals the silver spoons, which is like the little box, so that but it's that's Lutheran. You know, it just kept hitting me, this like Les Miserables, and he's also in jail in Les Miserables. Obviously the orders like mix up, but that's what it kind of felt like, and I kind of liked that in the sense of like Les Miserables is also something that was written like it was like a weekly shonen manga release in like an old French newspaper. Like that's how it was written. It was not written as like a single story, and that's why it's like so
it's a chapter
long
or 2 at a time. Yeah,
meandering, and like there's so many like different characters and explorations, and Valjean goes through his whole life or whatever. That's kind of what it felt like a little. It's like snippets and stuff, and I liked like that. To me, I liked a lot. Like I felt like it was at its strongest when it didn't feel like it had to all go towards a certain direction with gravity. But yeah,
I think an underrated part of this show is its willingness to not abandon a character. Like I feel like Karn's story could have been wrapped up in the first 3 episodes, and he's just gone, or he's killed, or he's
totally
in Empire jail forever, or what have you. And then it's like, no, we're gonna stick with this character. We're gonna like follow him through his fall and rise again. We're gonna tie it in with the other character, the other Empire.
Him and his mom at the breakfast table, so good.
And she's so well acted. Like it's all of those scenes are great, and you
so
immediately
real.
You understand why he is who he is.
Yeah,
and it's important to get that perspective of like who are the people who are actually trying to uphold the Empire, because when the Empire is a bunch of like sycophants who are bumbling, it's like it feels too easy to beat them, right? Like the classic Star Wars trope is like, just put on a set of stormtrooper armor and you can get in anywhere and you can do anything. But then in Andor, it's like, okay, that's going to be a 3-episode arc where we're going to really think about how we march, and we're going to have a contact on the inside, and we're going to be as well executed as we can be, and still most of our team's going to die. Like it's taking things more seriously in a way that I really appreciate, while also spending time to like sit with these characters and not be like, hey, I'm Bumfuck from the comics. You should really enjoy me because you know my name and I have a cool name and a cool cloak and a gun. Yeah.
There was a toy.
I've been around before. You should really care about me, right? Like, it's like, no, here's Cousin Richie, and he's gonna tell you what it is in like 3 scenes, and you're just gonna be with him until he's then out of the story.
We gotta have the cousin conversation. I got so jump scared. Did you know he was gonna be in this show?
I had heard that he was in Andor, but I totally forgot. And then
he
like shows up, and I'm like,
seat.
"What are you doing here, cousin?"
I was like, "What?" Like he just goes up. He's like, "You asshole!" he's like, he goes to the little kid who's like falling asleep on the ship. He's like, "Mike, you would have never fallen asleep on the ship." So good. He's not playing the same. He's a phenomenal actor. He is really really good.
He was also jacked. I didn't expect him to be like
yeah.
Like I called him like Star Wars skinhead earlier because he's like tatted up and he's like has a shirtless scene, which to me is like neo-Nazi coded. But he was
that's true.
He was really scary, and I liked how every Star Wars character is either going to betray you or going to have like a heroic sacrifice, and so it's somewhat tropey, but I because of the strength of the acting and like the subtleness of the performance, I thought that like his little mini arc throughout the heist was great, you know.
Okay, this was something I was curious to ask you because I feel like this is a test. I feel like when he betrayed Andor, I was like jaw dropped. I was like, "What? That's crazy." Am I stupid? Am I like not very smart? Was that telegraphed? And did I just miss it?
To me, it like the betrayal isn't telegraphed that much. Like it was surprising. I thought they were going to add. It became way more straightforward than I expected. Like I thought there was going to be an extra wrinkle on it, which is like he was just trying to test Andor, and then Andor kills him instinctively, and it's like, no, he was not actually going to betray us. He's like actually like for the cause, right? And it seems to be less so. It seems to just be that no, he was always in for himself, and that's why he was so particular about Andor being a mercenary, because he was basically a mercenary, right?
I don't have a brother. That was
projecting.
crazy. Yeah, no, I think that scene really got me. I feel like that that twists are able to get me means that I have a youthful spark in me that allows me to enjoy things. But I was very surprised. Did you like the kid who wrote his like communist manifesto and like gave it to Andor?
I wrote a whole thing about that kid.
All right, what do you let it rip.
From the Sam notes. In Andor, the plucky sidekick is crushed to death under the weight of stolen Imperial credits in a heist gone wrong. He leaves behind a manifesto as a gift that remains unopened and unread, at least until the final episode.
Yeah. See, I will say, I did kind of predict that he would die just based on the fact that he was writing a manifesto.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, well, that's a death sentence, kid.
There are no precocious children or witty droids. The roguish hero this time is really bad at being one, and every opportunity to do good, he chooses self-preservation instead. Andor rules. That's my review.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's talk about witty droids.
Yes.
I like B. I did start thinking.
I like sad retired droid.
B was cool. I did start having a feeling like midway through the series where I was like, man, I feel like one of the best things about Star Wars, and they do it, like, I don't want to like go all in on this show because they do like drop it in, for the people who like this kind of stuff. The best thing about Star Wars is you have one guy who's like, man, I told you for the 16th time I'm not going to do it. And then he's talking to a strange alien that goes, blah, 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 blah. He's like, I heard you already. That's the best. That's always good. Han and Chewie did
Chewbacca talk.
It's always funny. Yeah. And it's the reason why you got to sit down and watch Star Wars, because you could just hear these like strange little jellyfish going like that. I love that. And there were parts of the series where I was like, man, there are only humans here. Oh, I mean, I guess. And it's like they're all really good actors and it's a good show, but I'm also just like, oh. And then there's parts where it makes a lot of logical sense. Like part of it is like the Empire is racist and they are like pro-human. And that, right. I don't know if that's ever outright stated. It feels like just implied, but like you just only ever see.
You're not going to see an alien working at the ISB, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you only ever see humans.
One half
there.
Of the cast is already out for aliens.
Yeah. And then when you're having a strike team to pretend to be Imperial people, like they're all going to be humans because they have to pretend to be Imperial people. And then when you have like the prison, I was like, I guess I could kind of see why they would have. I don't know. I just like
I would think we would. It's
like,
weird that there weren't aliens in the prison.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm like, I know it costs money, but you guys are spending so much money on other stuff. I would love more aliens. That said, there were some really great parts. I like when he gets out of the prison and he's walking across the sand and he gets stuck in a sticky web and a big frog guy with a shell helmet comes up and he goes, oh, we gotta get this guy, right? And his buddy goes, boogada
the water. Yeah.
Like, that is phenomenal. That's what I come to Star Wars for. But yeah, there was just like a lack of booga da googa going on and just like weird little freaks. I would have loved to see some aliens in Mon Mothma's house. Just kind of like, I would love like replace her like old childhood friend with just like this big greasy like said the senator.
Right.
And he's like wearing some robes. I don't know. That's my biggest disappointment with Andor. However, I understand that is just a little flavor thing, and it costs money, of course, to make aliens.
I'm fine with it because I want to keep this show as far away from the volume, which is Disney's like weird like projection technique for filming now. It's like advanced green screen. I want to get as far away from that as possible. I want people that can be in real sets that can pick things up.
That's true,
because you can feel it when you're watching like a Marvel movie or you're watching a Star Wars show or whatever, that like, I am locked into this green screen environment and I cannot push on anything and I am going to walk like a human doesn't walk. Everyone's fiddling in this show at all times. They're always like tinkering or slamming a door or putting their head against a wall. Like it does add something.
I want practicals. I want like weird little morph suits that they're in, you know? Like that's
fair.
That's the ultimate, like, because that was the charm of the original. Like Chewbacca was like, they actually just found like this 8 foot tall dude and like put him in like a big hairy costume,
Right.
where they found like this like little person, R.I.P. Kenny Baker, best most favorite guy, to like fit inside of a trash can and like whistle for the whole time. And it's like, that's
It's
cool.
true.
And I like that. And that was kind of like one of the things I was like, man, but like I get it. But yeah. But that's just like an expectation I'm putting on it because it's Star Wars, and like it's completely a fine show divorced from like that expectation, I guess.
It is whimsy less, I would say, like by and large. Not to say that it's not still really pretty and really beautiful and has amazing like set pieces, but it is devoid of humor and banter and happiness, which I'm fine with because I feel like we've gotten too much cutesy stuff, right? Like every Star Wars property is made for children first, which is fine, but it's nice to have one for the old heads, I guess. I don't know, even though they're Star Wars fans who are our parents' ages or what have you.
Because, okay, just one more. There was a big whale-looking guy in, like, the first or second episode where there's, like, there's, like, that one guy and he's like, Andor, this isn't funny, where's my money? And then the big alien guy comes behind him and is like...
Yes, the muscle. But he's not really the muscle.
Yeah, I wish he came back and... Like, even if he came back just to get shot in the, like, the rebellion...
The riot.
The riot, like... I would have been fine. I'm just like, oh man, I want that guy. I don't know. I like Baby Yoda.
I was gonna say I have many shows for you if you want that.
Here's the thing though. I don't know if I'm interested in Baby Yoda's gritty like backstory though. I haven't watched The Mandalorian.
Has a gritty backstory.
Or like just what's going on in Baby Yoda's life. I'm just like, I'm pretty happy just looking at Baby Yoda, like drinking his tea. Cool character, all about it. Yeah, I feel like are we missing stuff from this Andor discussion though? I feel like I'm getting really pigeonholed into this like discussion about aliens.
The thing to me is that this series feels more relevant than ever, and I kept thinking about it the entire time I was watching it. It feels like a show that came out yesterday that was written the day before.
Yeah,
like what it means to sacrifice for the greater good, what it means to rebel, how protesting is a messy but important part of living in a world where there is evil, but there is also the capacity for good, right? I feel very inspired by this show at a time where mass protests have been kicking off all weekend while I was watching Andor in my city, in cities all around where I live. Like, it's hard not to feel like there's an idea presented early on in this show, which is essentially that the Empire is not impossible to defeat because they've become essentially like fat and lazy on their hubris, right? They don't even think of us, and that means that they can be defeated, and that to me resonates a little bit right now. The idea of like, it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to destroy or run the world, but it takes a lot of courage and guts to tear those people down. And seeing there's something about the thing in Ferrix where everyone just clangs on the metal anytime something's going down.
That was my favorite scene of the whole series, easily. That was so cool.
Yeah. It, to me, like, it's fire in my veins. Like, I'm just very excited about, like, the idea of a revolution. The idea of, we're not going to take it, we're not going to take it, we're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah. It's also so cool, like, the way, like, because for them it was, like, a warning, right? Like, to get out of the streets, and they're, like, spreading the message around. and then like it shows both perspectives. It shows the Imperial officers coming down and being like, they're like, what is that? He's like, a weak attempt at intimidation. You think we're scared of pans? Right. Like,
you're like gonna be, motherfucker.
It shows that disconnect, and it's really good. I think it's also so funny, like watching it back to back with Severance, and like the whole discussion about like why are there only like 3 employees on the entire, like 3 like security supervisors on the entire like severed floor or whatever. Like,
it's because we are many and they are few, Mallory.
Yeah,
and if we band together, they cannot stop us.
It's a lot of like fear and intimidation that they're able to like use to like maintain control, and like the like you have to.
The prison's literally a panopticon, right?
You have to quiet the voice inside your own head. That like you have to get the oppressor out of your own head first in order to like see through it and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. It felt. I was like riding my bike and trying to like figure out this analogy. I think I got it. I feel like it's like, because I was thinking of how different this is from like the original Star Wars, which is also like, Star Wars Episode 4 is like written about like, we're like the rebels that are trying to like overthrow this like tyrannical like fascist like dictatorship or whatever, and like the difference in like how I feel like people's tastes and understanding has like evolved from like that time to now, where it's like it feels like the Hunger Games is to Star Wars Episode 4 as Severance is to Andor. Like Andor feels like the much more politically realized, on the ground, getting gritty, versus like, as opposed to the idea that like a single chosen hero will come in and show everyone, oh, you should love instead, and then all the fascists go, oh shit, oh, God.
Or if we just blow up this one,
we just kill
maybe 2
President Snow,
planet killing space stations, then everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's also, you have to win in the war of ideals as well.
Absolutely.
And there are going to be people who fully buy into the evil faction, and those people have to be stopped, basically.
And you have to work with like so many individuals that you might not get along with or like necessarily.
Right.
In order
you have to build
like,
a coalition.
Yeah. Also, it was also crazy. I feel like the depiction of like cultures in this show was like very interesting. Like the
it felt lived in. Yeah. The people on the planet with the eye. The heist planet.
Yeah. They were so like talking about like their festival and the ways that they like discourage them from growing the festival is like, we just put a bunch of taverns along the way so that they'll like
it's so well thought of
real.
Like, what would an evil, like every Empire scene is, how can we oppress the most amount of people with the least amount of resources, right? And that's ultimately why they're going to fail, because they're like Rome. They're like so spread out across the galaxy, and there's a lot of like interpolitics that are holding them back. Like if they put Deidre in charge earlier in this show, they would have caught the rebels and the show would be over, right? And the Empire lives on, and the Death Star plans never eventually get put in an R2D2 droid.
Yeah.
But because they are themselves are like so caught up in their politics and their like ladder climbing and what have you, it holds them back from being a more effective oppressive faction. And that's realistic to me. Like, right? Like it's incompetence is secretly at the heart of a lot of evil in the world, and that's just like a hard fact to wrap your head around.
Yeah, and like the motive of like the being motivated to control and having that being such a high priority like limits your effectiveness as an organization. Like I think about like the old dude who's like yelling at like Didra and all of the like ISB people or whatever, or like like the old man who doesn't want to do any work or whatever, like being like, let's fudge the numbers. Like, the way that they behave towards their like inferiors is because they're ultimately prioritize control and power in their position and station and stuff.
Yes,
over,
appearance,
like, being
position.
effective. Yeah.
Right. And so yeah, there's constantly like it's like a leaky sieve. Like this technology is getting out there, and every Imperial failure that's small enough is covered up so that they don't get in trouble. And like in those cracks that are forming, this like budding rebellion can grow, right? And it's just it's so good.
Yeah, and it's put so well in the manifesto that the kid wrote of like about like control being an unnatural state of like being like that's not how like people just like feel freedom and are guided towards it like intuitively. It's not like a you know, these two equal opposites or whatever. Like control is this unnatural idea that has been put onto people that has like caused this like
right
situation. I don't know. It's very
and
cool.
that
It's very well thought out.
it seems impossible to defeat or impossible to like get up ahead of, but small actions compound and manifest themselves into a rebellion, right? I think about like Andor's friend who immediately is willing to like come up with an alibi for him, like no questions asked, and then when pushed, when like that situation escalates, just has a small act of rebellion of like tying the ship cable together, and that is what allows Andor and Luthen to escape, even though he sticks his neck out a little bit, but not too much, but it's enough to like facilitate their escape, and he's doing it just because, you know, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you help somebody?
Unlike
a lot of homie moments.
I'm glad that we've come to this part because we got to talk about Tim with two M's. It's been coming. We got to talk about Tim with two M's.
Sure.
Crazy character. That's
yes.
what was he in the show to really show? Because I feel like it was crazy. And he just sold out Andor. It was an asshole that he died. And I really thought he was going to be one of the main
argument
characters.
they're making with, like, he's like the Lando in a way, right? Of you make a deal with the devil's going to take everything from you, right? I think his character's meant to show that like trying to operate within this system is ultimately going to burn you. There is no like conformist route that results in you being happy long term.
Yeah.
So
that
like
makes
selling out
sense.
your friend to protect your lover is going to ultimately result in not just your friend being in trouble, you dying, and your lover being imprisoned and eventually tortured, right? Like,
yeah,
you cannot make deals with these people because these people are not. You can't negotiate with them. They're just bad people. They don't care about the individual.
It makes sense, and it's
so
also
conforming
shows,
to the whole
like,
is not going to serve you.
It also shows, like, I guess what draws someone to attempt that, like, he's motivated by this, like, jealousy of, like, you know, Cassian interacting with his lover or whatever, to the point that he, like, stalks her through the streets to watch her have, like, a couple friendly conversations with Cassian and then go home. And, like, that's what, like, motivates him to, like, you know, rat out Cassian. And it's, like that desire is, like, what drove him in that direction rather than, like, have a conversation or, like, look at or, like, just let her be herself. And, like, if she's not into him and she's into Cassian, then she'll stop seeing him or whatever. And just, like, that's it. Like, you don't got to throw
the
your
charitable way to
in
look
jail.
at him.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the charitable way to look at him is, like, he wants to protect her. He wants to, like, make sure that she's not sticking her neck out too far, that she's not getting into trouble, and that Andor just means trouble. But I think they heavily, like, it's clear that, like, his motivations are not pure in that way. That's how he justifies it to himself.
They very much shot,
but it has more to do with
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It has more to do with that relationship drama.
Yeah, like I feel like they very much shot reverse shot, and he's, like, paying attention to the expressions of the two interacting. He's like, they're smiling too much, and it's like, okay, you know what this guy is doing. Yeah, he was a crazy little guy. What did you think about the lesbians? Because I made a joke about how I'm like, I feel like Cinta just hates Val. Yeah, I feel like she doesn't like her at all. And I'm like, I wasn't really sure where they were necessarily going with that. Like, because it,
Yeah, I
like,
think the
I
idea
kind of
was like the emotional toll that being in a rebellion takes on these characters is like what they were trying to get across. But we never see them happy, so seeing them like miserable is it just makes them feel miserable as characters instead of the idea of being like, oh, what could be if we were just in a free society. I like the line a lot that they kind of repeat back and forth to each other, like, we'll take whatever's left. Like, after the war is done, we get whatever's left, and if that's nothing, that's just the result. Like, that's the vow we took. Conceptually, I like it. Execution-wise, I think they both are pretty unlikable as a pair because you never see them, like, enthused to be in the same room with each other. Like, ever.
Like, you needed to, like, Cinta needed to be shown to be conflicted at all. Because she's just like, no, I'm on the mission, like, shut up. Then then because of that, then Vel becomes like just this needy, whiny kind of like come back to bed. And it's like, no, I'm training a sniper rifle on Cassian Andor. It's like, and it's like, I feel like there's really not a balance there, and it just kind of paints Vel's character in like a weird light, I guess, where I enjoyed her a lot.
Once they come back into the fold, I enjoy her a lot more in Coruscant. Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah.
I'm same here, and I like that she's Mon Mothma's cousin, and I find all that very or sister, cousin. The daughter calls her aunt, but I think they're cousins.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably the weakest point of the story to me is the rebels trying to tie up loose ends in regard to Andor. Like, they seemed way too focused on Andor, like you said. When Bex is right there and getting imprisoned and spilling the beans about Luthen to ISB trying to catch Axis, like, that seems way more important to me.
Yeah,
like,
because she had way more
6 times. Andor's met him
once. Yeah, it's like even I feel like if you got Andor, it's like, what would you get out of him? It's like, oh, well, this guy set me up on a mission to, like, destroy this thing. It's like, so I'm right that the rebels wanted to, like, steal our money.
Destroy something.
Like, destroy our garrison. Yeah. It's like, versus, like, Bix is like, these are the specific things that he's bought over an extended period of time or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
it reminds me of the most annoying parts of Rogue One that I remember, which is that, like, it was an interesting idea to paint the rebels as not, like, just morally good, right? But I remember them being, like, so incompetent that they're like, I mean, is it really a big deal that they have a big spaceship that can destroy planets? Is that really going to come back to bite us if we don't, like, nip it in the bud now? Like, it gets a little silly for a little contrived for the purposes of drama. Yeah. But they do enough good to set up these characters as, like, so practical and so pragmatic and so willing to, like, cut ties and execute people and leave people trapped in double lives and what have you, that, like, I could buy it, but by the time you get to the finale, it's like, y'all are putting way too much stake in this one guy.
Yeah. It's crazy when he's,
like, you're creating so many loose ends by trying to cut one.
Yeah. It does still give you that crazy magic when he's hiding in the clock tower and everyone's having a parade in his honor.
Absolutely.
It is cool, but it is also, it just feel weird of, like, why are we converging on Andor when he's not? I guess in a way he's unintentionally become a symbol of rebellion because his mother, like, adopted mother, is a rebel person, and, like, I mean, all he did was steal some bread, but, like, he killed, like, those 2 guards, so, like, in a way that is, like, an anti-imperial action, so I guess, like, people can kind of project that, but we don't even really see them explicitly, like, making that connection and, like, how people are perceiving him. I feel like it's more like they're like, he's one of us, you know? But
I think they keep Ferrix in the story to kind of re-emphasize an idea that Luthen brings up early on, which is, no, we want the Empire to be more controlling. We want the Empire to be even more evil, to overextend, to, like, slam the Galactic Senate with, like, sanctions, and to tighten their restrictions on outside, like, other planets, because doing so will ultimately destroy them. Like, they'll become so so immovable that they can then be toppled over. I don't know how else to put it. Like and then you see that with Ferrex, where like they are breeding rebellion by being assholes, right? By taking over this hotel, by destroying local community leaders, by disrespecting people. Like they're creating the next generation of people to like rise up and fight against them. And I think that's why they keep Ferrex in the story, because it just shows that like it only takes like an inciting incident, in this case the death of these two men and the escape of this local guy who people don't even really like that much, but they like enough to like for the Empire to bring the hammer down on this community, and then the community to withstand the hammer to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I like that it's not black and white, and it's not like, oh, well, now we're all just rebels now, and this planet's completely overthrows the Empire in a day. Like, the heroic moment of the final episode is Andor saves one person whose life he ruined, and they escape on a ship. Like, the riot doesn't result in, like, and the Empire was overthrown from Ferrex, and then the rebellion can start for real. Like, the most exciting thing that happened, or the most important thing that happens is, like, a few people get away and a few stormtroopers die. It's small stakes, but it's the spark that's going to ultimately create the flame that will burn the house down, you know?
Yeah.
I buy into the idea. I like it a lot.
No, I like it, and I like the explanations you putting on it. It is really good. I think it also like dodges tropes like really well. I was gonna come down on it of like the lesbians don't kiss, but no one kisses in the show at all.
Right. I had the same thought. I was
really
like, this is another Star Wars project where it's like we're gonna wink at people being gay, but it's like no, they're everyone's miserable. There's no kissing.
Yeah, like if Andor and Bix kissed, I think this probably would have dropped a level in the tier list or two, because first of all, that would have been annoying and I wouldn't have liked it, but also it would have made me be a lot more critical of the like weird lesbian interaction. But I mean, it's something. I had like weirdly low expectations for Star Wars. Like I just kind of expected it to be a lot more behind the times. I don't know. I wanted to make like the two people kissing in the background of like Star Wars Episode 9 that got like edited out in China. Like just like make that my like background or something for
right.
this episode. That's
Do you
what
remember
I would
these
have
two
done.
rebel characters?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool show. Were there? I have one more point I wanted to talk about. Did you have any other points you wanted to get to?
No, I feel like I've been talking a lot. I just will say that like it feels like a Star Wars show is trying to say something, and that's why it's wild to see the Disney logo in front of this show, because I feel like Disney operates in such a like we don't want to offend anyone style, right? And so they water down any projects they have that have a message to try and appeal to people who then boycott and hate them anyway. So like I can't believe that a show is trying to say so much within this studio ecosystem, and I was just very impressed. It feels like they Trojan horsed like a Che Guevara story into Star Wars again.
No, totally.
Which feels like good to like go back to Star Wars' roots of being like a Vietnam allegory or a Revolutionary War allegory. I'm learning to love again. You know, I'm just excited that something like this can exist.
No, absolutely. This is weirdly, I don't know if this is a concluding point, but I guess I feel like it can tie into the future of Andor. Well, I guess I have two things I'm curious about in terms of the future of Andor. One is Karn. I didn't get enough Karn talk yet. I gotta say, just the scene where he's like been sitting on the, like he walks by Dedra and she's like, how do you know where I'm? He's like, I've been waiting out here every morning. And his like eyes are red or whatever. And he's like, oh, he's like, you're just so beautiful. You're the only one who gets it. And she's like, get off me, you creep. I don't know. Love that scene. He's crazy. Something wrong with him, man. Love him.
There's a weird vibe that those two have, especially in their final scene together.
It's crazy. I was so happy that they didn't kiss, but that was crazy that it seemed like they were gonna. I was like, what's wrong?
It kind of works for me just because she's just like the higher level version of him, where it's like, my superiors aren't listening to me. There's a real problem you don't understand. Pepe Sylvia board, like the rebellion is happening. And yeah, they're just, I like that she is mean to him, even though he's saying exactly what she's saying, like one level up.
Yeah, I can see this thing in her, like, it's like, I'm only attracted to power, but oh no, this weird little subordinate is there's something about him, like, I don't know, I could like see the vision, but he's such a little creep. I love him so much. He's just really funny. And like I feel like I was waiting for a confrontation between him and Andor. I guess I didn't feel right. And I guess, like, my other thing, and, like, maybe this is just me being too negative or, like, not wanting to get my hopes up, but I feel like it could have been a one-season show, you know? And, like, it wasn't going to be a one-season show. But I feel like even if they had, like, a confrontation between Karn and Andor, and like Andor kills Karn and then like gets away, he's like, where am I gonna go next? See you next season. I would have been fine. Like, maybe it's not fitting and maybe it's too cinematic in like all the ways we were describing, like the biggest victory.
There's not a lot of finale in the finale of this season, right?
But like I do feel like even if they killed Karn, it's like, yeah, you killed like a random office stooge for the Empire that's like ultimately pretty insignificant. But we got the clash of ideals. But yeah, then we have that, and like Andor's final scene where he says that he wants to be killed. What is going on? What do we think about season 2? Like, what do you think?
Well, he says to him, like, I'm ready to accept your offer or be killed, essentially, right? Like,
okay.
I can join you or you can kill me. I'm like, he's essentially like, I'm paying off my debt that I owe to you, right? Which is my life. And I think he's like, I don't want my friends to be harmed, so I'm gonna do the self-sacrifice. But also, I'm now ready to listen to what you were trying to tell me at the beginning of the season. Is the implication. And I think it's very clear that the two of them are going to go off and have rebel adventures. And eventually, he's going to become the person he is in Rogue One, a very unmemorable character who is a rebel who is willing to do anything for the rebellion. Like, that's where he's ultimately heading towards, right?
Lawful one, to contrast that with Jyn Erso, who's the new him.
Right. But not I mean, I think the opening scene of Rogue One, I believe, is him murdering someone on the off chance that they like leak information, basically, like someone who's like too panicky, who's like feeding information to the rebellion. And it's like, oh, the rebellion, a concept in that movie that I like but didn't like the execution of because it was constrained to a 2-hour movie, is like the rebels are willing to do bad things for a good outcome, right? They are being ends justify the means, and that is like destroying them on a moral level, even though they're working towards something that is ultimately good for the masses. And I think that's what his character tries to be in that movie, but it didn't really work for me in that movie. But it is working for me really well in this show, and with Luthen, who's like the more advanced version of that idea.
Luthen fully is that. And now that he's going to train Cassian, you can kind of see the road that Cassian's probably going to go down in the future.
Exactly.
Do you feel like there's going to be a season 2? Or that they need a season 2? Yeah.
It comes out in 2 weeks.
We're watching it again?
Mallory, I do this shit. What do you think? What do you think I pitched this for? I
didn't think that they were... Well, because, like, the way you explained that, I was like, oh, maybe we don't need a season. Because I didn't quite understand. Like, parts of this, I felt like I'm being too stupid or I need to rewatch it. Like, I don't think it's necessarily on the show. I do feel like it's on me a little. Where I didn't understand quite what he meant by, like, I want to die or whatever. Like, I was like, is he just being suicidal? That doesn't seem like it makes any sense at all. I feel like I'm missing what's going on in the scene. You just explaining, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, oh, this is a neat little endpoint, but nuh-uh.
So I
It's
went
back.
back and did a little bit of reading on this. This show was always pitched as a 2-season show, basically showing the important moments in this character's life leading up to like the beginning moments of Rogue One.
Right.
And so the season 2 Andor trailer I have watched. It's a lot of Rogue One characters, and it's me being a little hesitant because I didn't really like that movie. But Ben Mendelsohn's a good actor, so maybe he'll be a good character this time. He was the Imperial stooge in that movie who's yucking it up. I'm worried that as it expands and as it like grows in scale, it's going to lose the charm that it has for me of being a very street level Star Wars show, but we will see. But yeah, it's always meant to have been 2 seasons. And it was meant to come out way earlier, but then it got writer striked and director striked and what have you. So it's been like 3 years.
Yeah, I hope it stays 2 seasons. It seems like it will.
Like the guy who's the main lead, like creative behind this, Tony Gilroy, is like, it's going to be a 2-season show and that's it.
That's awesome. That's good. Every show goes bad in its 3rd season, so I'm happy to see this one just getting good. So I don't know. I like it. That's my Andor thoughts.
It's good. You like it.
Yeah, I barely even know her.
Could use more droids. Could use more whimsy. Could use more Chewbacca talk.
Could use more crazy funny puns. No, it's a good show. Is it time for the tiering?
I think so. Do you have anything else you want to say on it? I know I talked a lot for a
I'm
Sam
glad
week.
that you talked a lot, because I think if I talked too much, I would have sounded pretty dumb and people would get really mad, and they're probably going to get mad at me anyway. But you know what? Have at it.
I think between this and the Severance episode, I think we tend to talk about the things that are... It's more interesting to talk about the stuff that doesn't work for you in a show, right? Like you and I both do this. What's one thing you liked about Andor? Let's have a game here at the end.
I mean, it's obvious because I kept bringing it up. It's Mon Mothma. So just when she's walking through her house and like it's just like the eleganza, like the big table, and she's like just bobbing and weaving around her shitbag husband, who's just like, I wish anything could be fun around this house. And he's like, God, and he has his whack ass little fucking flat ponytail. He's just like
being against fascism is so boring and stuffy.
Yeah, no, all the good comedians I know are offensive. Like I just imagine like sitting like at the end of the table with like Ricky Gervais and J.K. Rowling and like bumping elbows.
You just can't say anything anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, I loved her being like this like weak, like she is just like giving like, you know, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi just like standing up on stage being like, we need to promote equality, and everyone's like, boo, and just like leaving, like turning the lights off in their little pods. I loved that touch. And her daughter fucking hates her, and she's like, why can't I go to the, like, you know, the grooming ball? Like all my friends are going to the,
and their
like,
weird society, they have all this like weird like barely touched on.
Yeah, she was married at
culture.
like 14, 16 or something.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, oh my, and like just how openly her and her husband despise each other. God, It was rich. I don't know, like if they made Mon Mothma the show, I would. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love Mon Mothma. New favorite Star Wars.
It's
character.
another instinct of like, or another like moment of, how do we just make this more interesting by like actually talking about how like this society works and this particular culture works.
I feel like I saw her living I feel like my worst nightmare is that I have a Republican child. Because I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, what, you know, I think about that a lot. Because you know how you're like, you're never gonna have
a difficult age.
You're never gonna have the kid that like you is gonna exactly mirror you. And I'm like, I've fully prepared myself for having a sports kid. You know what I mean? I'm like, I feel like if I have a child, they're gonna be super into like baseball or something. And I'm like, that's okay. And I'm just gonna work really hard to keep up with you. But I don't know. Like, what if my kid is just like, like, I love Dave Chappelle. Like, this is awesome. Like, I'm just like, what do I do? But yeah, that's good. Love Mon Mothma.
Joe Rogan's
And-
son or Tumblr
yeah.
daughter. Like, what are you gonna get?
That's what it is. Like, I have little cousins who, like, one of my cousins when he was 11 was like listening to like Andrew Tate or whatever. It's like,
Yep, it
what
happens
do you
quick.
do? What do you do? You know,
You gotta hope it works out eventually.
You give a kid TikTok and you just let him loose. It's like, so I don't know. I felt for her. But yeah. Anyway, ranking it. Okay. It's not a top for me because that's exclusive. That's the top tier. But I feel like it's got to be deluxe for sure. Like that's an easy deluxe. It's on that border. Like the fact that I even brought up like is putting it on that borderline between the top two
I'm satisfied.
tiers. So
I'm satisfied.
it's not all the way, like it's not, I feel like if it's top tier for me, it's like hitting me in a specific way where I'm like, ooh, I feel that, you know? And it's not necessarily doing that for me in that way, but phenomenally made series. Obviously, we're all about practical effects here in Star Wars land. That's like the thing that we love. Could use a few more little frog aliens. So we'll see what season 2 has to bring. But yeah, Andor, good show.
Andor, good show.
Yeah, I barely even know her.
You're gambling again.
Nonsense.
It's time for your pitch. This was my pitch, even though we are both new to the series.
I'm
committed next week to actually
Yeah.
pitching something I've seen because I've done multiple blind pitches in a row.
It's fair. We bob and weave here and nobody leaves. But this week I will be pitching something that I have seen that I want to rewatch. I wonder if you've seen it. I mostly think this is motivated by being a little burned out from watching 2 seasons of Severance back to back with this season of Andor, which was really
Been a lot
long.
of television.
Back to back with watching like 3 seasons of Beastars just for no reason. Which like if it hadn't been Andor this week, it might have been Beastars this week, but because it isn't, we continue to defer, push that down the line, making false promises to all our furry fans. But yeah, I'm feeling this movie. I watched it randomly on a whim last year and I loved it. And it is called Election. Do you know this movie? Have you seen it?
The Matthew Broderick movie.
Yes.
I have never seen it, but I've heard good things.
Okay. I really, really loved this movie. It was cool. There's maybe some shared themes with stuff, but it feels like maybe a little bit of a different stuff going on. So could use for some fresh conversation. But we're gonna be hanging out with Tracy Flick, and we're having a presidential election. It's gonna be fun.
Back to high school once again.
Back to high school. I guess, you know what? I guess I am just dragging us back to high school every week because I did skip a life for
Only two.
Yeah.
Or 3.
Yeah.
I guess Heartstopper.
Uh-oh. Well, it doesn't say anything about me and where I'm stuck in my current place of life. But yeah, that's what I want to check out this week. Because it's a really fun movie, very compelling characters. I think it has one of my favorite things in just fiction and media in general, where you have a character that like says one thing and clearly demonstrates the other, like the kind of like hypocritical characters, hypocritical
Double talky,
protagonists,
yeah.
double talk. Like I love that, and I love especially when you're able to use like film or like animation to communicate that, where you have like a narration saying one thing and a character doing the other. Like I think
Unreliable
Election,
narrator.
yeah, it plays with that in such a fun way that is makes it a very engaging watch. But we'll see what you think about it next time.
I'm down. Movie club it is. Election.
Yes.
Be here or don't.
Yeah, or you'll end up like Like
Tim with 2 M's.
like
you
Tim
know?
with 2 M's.
If you're not paying attention, suddenly you get shot in the street.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be Tim with 2 M's. Come back next week.
Alrighty, well, that's gonna do it.
Have a good day, Sam.
Have a good evening, Mallory.